Okay, welcome. I wanted to actually make a video on something that's been on my mind a lot for the past week or so. Something that I believe will help a lot of people and push people into the direction they want to get into. So let's get straight into it. I wanted to talk about more so mindset shifts and how to actually like achieve anything in reality and why you are still stuck in that same position knowing that you tried pretty much everything. You did the same thing over and over again, like you did all the hard work, everything, but you're still stuck in that same position trying to figure out why. So what it all kind of ties back into is manifestation, right? And how to actively and truthfully manifest something into your life. Now I know what you guys are thinking, right? I was thinking the same way. I don't believe in all that manifestation stuff. I don't believe in that. Let's get the physical work done. But you have to realize there is a problem in between that. And that's not really the true definition of manifestation when you really want to manifest something into your reality, right? So a lot of people chase the physical, right? Like this is the main thing. If you ask anybody, what are your dreams? What are your goals? I'm chasing money. I'm doing this. I'm trying to get money. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to whatever, right? That's what the biggest problem is because there's an order of creation and the way this is set up is set in a different order of creation. So what you're doing when you say I'm getting things physical, right? Like when I get this job, then I'll be happy. When I lose this weight, then I'll feel loved, or then I'll be attractive. When I get these friends, then I'll feel love. When I get in this relationship, then I'll feel love. You're attaching a physical outcome to an emotional state, right? You're attaching a physical outcome to an emotional state. And this is a huge problem. And this is the incorrect order of manifestation. This is why you're still stuck. This is why life still stays the same. And this is why no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to get out of the rut. This is why even if life isn't truthfully out to get you, you always think it's out to get you. You always see something wrong. It's always something to the point where like, it's always something. You know those friends that it's just always something. Like no matter what goes wrong, no matter what happens, if you even had a good day, it's always something bad, right? So you might not even actively be trying to manifest something into your reality, right? You might not be trying to sit there and meditate, do all that stuff to where it's like, yeah, I'm manifesting, right? You might not be doing that. You might not be journaling. You might not be writing stuff 1,000 times, right? But what you are doing is you're talking about what you don't have. You're almost always thinking about what you don't have. You're thinking about, I don't have this car. I don't have this relationship. I don't have this body, right? You're always thinking about something you don't have. So that's still actively manifesting something into your reality, right? Because when you feel like, and well, let's go back to the definition. When your manifestation isn't about getting something physical, it's about changing the internal so much that the physical has no, or the external has no choice but to change. So it's never about getting manifestation does not equal this. No, manifestation does not equal physical. Manifestation equals internal, and then internal changes the external because the external is a byproduct of the internal. And this is what the whole thing I'm about to talk about is based off of. Once you change the internal, the external change, right? You don't manifest something externally, you manifest something internally for the external to follow because it's a mirror of reality itself. And once you can finally change your internal state, the external basically has no choice but to follow that. And then what you perceive as reality, what you perceive as something negative happening to you, what you perceive as a bad day, what you perceive as a loss changes, right? Your perspective on it changes because your internal um reality changes, right? Basically what I'm trying to say. Once your internal changes, the external changes. What you perceive changes, your action changes, everything changes. But we're gonna get into that. I just wanted to break that down and really have you guys understand that this is the incorrect order of manifestation. This is the incorrect order of anything. Even if you don't think you manifest, you still do manifest because you talk about what you don't have and you talk about the lack of something. You think about always the lack of something. Keep you inside that same box. But we'll get right into that. So, okay, the next part, real quick, I wanted to talk about is how things cannot give you emotion, right? The physical can never truthfully give you an emotion, right? Or can give you that feeling. Okay, we only want anything or desire anything in this world to avoid or to gain an emotion, right? Everything has an emotion tied to it. The reason why a lot of people want financial freedom is to have the emotion of comfort and of safety, right? It's still, everything ties into an emotion. And if you have a pattern of thinking, and if you have a pattern of feeling and thinking based off of the physical, then no matter, even if you do the hard work, right? You do work for days, the grunt work, and you do manage to get something physical. You do manage to pull out that physical thing that you've been working so hard for. No matter what, maybe you'll be excited for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a month about that physical thing, but then you'll realize that you'll revert back to your old way of feeling. You won't be satisfied anymore. It will come back to that feeling of the need, or the feeling to avoid, or the feeling to gain. This is why you see people trapped in work, right, or chasing something, even in the gym, or with women, right? You see a lot of stuff where like guys talking about to a woman are like trapped in like that lustful mindset, simply because they're trying to avoid or gain something, and because they never worked on the emotional state of getting that thing, or their because they put physical on a pedestal, they will always revert back to that feeling, keeping them trapped in that same loop of of chasing the physical to give you an emotional state of interest. That's why you always see people working. Why do you think you realize you see the same guy that's been doing the same thing over and over again for years? Me, even I was doing the same thing over and over again for years, not really getting the outcome. It's like, dang, he's still working on that. He still hasn't made any money yet. Like, what are we waiting for? Or you see that guy that you knew since you were a young boy in high school still doing the same thing over and over again, to the point it's like, why are they still chasing something? They haven't made it yet. And that's the question you should be asking yourself. Why are you still chasing something that is supposed to be yours? What are you still chasing? And then have you got the thing? And then what happens when you do get the thing? Because when you get the thing, are you losing it, right? Are you feeling like you need more of it? Are you feeling like you have to keep going? What are we talking about? So if you actually flip this though, and that's what I'm trying to teach y'all, if you can flip to give yourself the emotional state that you already gained that physical thing. So if you can sit there and say to yourself, even if you don't have it physically, but if you can really believe it and see what it feels like to already have that thing, time itself will collapse. I know how that sounds, but time itself will collapse for you to get that physical thing. It's almost like how you can see people that are the same as you, do the exact same thing as you, but things seem to come easier for them, right? Because they already believe they got this, right? And like not a lot of people have this like full mindset on what this means, but I'm going to teach y'all and show y'all exactly what I'm talking about. How if you can flip this and have the emotional state that you already made it, and that you already got that physical thing, and that everything is yours, and that there's everything is yours, right? Everything that you can desire is yours, that you don't need or want anything because you already have it, then time itself will collapse, and it will become so, everything will be magnetic for you, right? And you can be the person, right? You can be that person that all your desires come towards, and you don't have to worry about chasing or overly extending yourself to gain that physical thing, because it's yours already. You already gained it up here, right? Emotionally, you already gained it mentally, and that's what we're about to get into on this next topic. Okay, so the next part that I want to talk about is the energy that you experience more of. So once again, circumstances, and what is my first time saying it, but circumstances cannot give you an emotion. Only you can, right? Like, so whatever X happens cannot equal emotion. Only you, right here, little you, can give yourself emotion based off that circumstance, right? These are set patterns, and the reason why I'm making these videos and the reason why I'm talking about this in the first place is because I don't want you, right here, I don't want you to arrive. Let me make a little palm tree for y'all. Don't mind my tree. But I don't want you guys to arrive in paradise, right? I don't want your reality to be everything that you used to pray for, everything that you used to wish for, everything that you've been striving for, things that your old self been wanting for so long. But because you're blinded, right, your eyes right now are covered, because you're blinded by your circumstances that you gave emotions to, you can't see that you're in paradise. So now you believe you're in hell at this point, simply because you're blinded by your circumstances, which have no true hold over you, right? So, and why this is because you're still stuck in that same programming, right? You're still stuck in that same consciousness, that state of consciousness that you believe that your circumstances make you, right? And not your emotions make your circumstances. Because once you can change your emotions towards your circumstances change, because you're looking at different opportunity, you're looking at different things that you didn't even know was in front of you because you were blinded by your emotions based off your circumstances. And I know that was like a little tongue twister. It's a lot, but like to recap, your energy, the energy you experience more of. So if you take everything as negative, it will always be negative. Like, I want you to think about a friend you might have. A friend that no matter what, something bad always happens to them. They always have drama to bring to you. They always have something to bring to you. Why do you think this is? And that's not a good thing. That's simply because they believe that whatever their circumstances are, that's which gives them that emotional state, right? So the way I'm thinking about it is, a lot of people, even if there is nothing going wrong, there is nothing bad happening, they still force something to put them back inside that comfort zone, because all it is comfort. Only thing that's different from you right here and you right there is comfort. And all you're thinking is the sand is hot, right? The sand in paradise is hot. The sun is a little bit too hot. So I'm going to go back to comfort. But you don't even know comfort is keeping you in hell, right? And you can't see that because you're blinded once again by your circumstances. So I've seen this happen many times with different traders and different friends, that even if they have the chance to make their life better, right? Say if it's for my traders, say if it's you not going on tilt, or you doing something positive to the point where like you'll keep your accounts, or say for people that don't trade, say you have a friend that can get out of a situation, so they won't be feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel so sad, oh my, everybody's so rude to me, stuff like that, right? They can get out of that situation, but subconsciously they force themselves back into that situation to be back at that blinding comfort level, because you don't know what's over here. This is all unexpected, this is all uncertainty, and your brain does not like that. Your brain wants to be comforted, right? And a lot of people are comforted inside what gives them emotions, right? What gives them what they feel as positive, what their brain feels as positive emotions. That's comfort, right? That's what it is at the end of the day. Wherever your comfort level is, and then your experiences, and then once again your experiences, believing that your experiences control you, right? Or your circumstances, my bad, your circumstances control you. And I'm going to tell you they do not. And once again, I'm going to show you sooner or later the correct order of creation, because we talked about the bad order of creation, the negative order of creation, but I want to get into the correct order so you guys can really understand how to frame your life and how everything is fractal. Okay, so this is a lot of information, so I need you guys to kind of bear with me on everything that I'm saying. So what I have right here is the correct order of creation. Now we talked about the incorrect order of creation, and now we're talking about the correct order of creation. And basically the categories of consciousness. So the first thing we need to talk about is, where did creation begin from, right? You didn't create the universe. You didn't create a thinking mind that can give us imaging faculties, right? We didn't create life itself. We didn't create the mind and its ability to create. So you have to ask yourself, where did creation begin, right? Like the entire universe itself, where did it begin? And that can go to God/source. Now we can ask source, because even if you don't believe in God, even though Jesus Christ is a living true God, but we're not gonna get in there right now, right? But God/source, everything is created and already has been created, right? We know this from like nothing can be destroyed, like in the laws of matter, nothing can be destroyed, nothing can be created that wasn't already created. So God/source, right, stems out to everything in our toenails, in our hair, in this paper, in this pen, right, on this whiteboard. God/source is in everything, because everything is created from that, right? So that's the first topic. So I want to kind of break down the different things. We got spiritual, mental, physical. Now physical is the lowest, and we talked about the physical before, but physical is the lowest form of consciousness, right? Like I'm gonna say it again, physical is the lowest form of consciousness. So physical reality being the lowest form, like it's a very, very tiny component of the entire universe and everything that's in it, right? So, and basically inside this sea of consciousness. So the way I like to put it is, think of physical being light, visible light that we can see with our own eyes, right? The light that you can see outside, the light that you can see in this room, visible light in our own eyes. This is a tiny, tiny, tiny point on the electromagnetic field, right? Anything that we can visibly see, light itself, the light that we can see, is a tiny component on the electromagnetic field. And that's the same way I want you to view physical inside this lecture, right? Now, mental. So this is what separates us from the animals in the animal kingdom, and which makes us, I don't want to say better, but better. Like, we're humans. Like, what are you talking about? If you don't think we're better than animals, you're good. I can't lie. But this is what makes us, gives us that higher faculties that we have been gifted with, right? To allow us to create things. Now, once again, we didn't create the universe, but man created this, right? That he had to envision this first for it to be created. You didn't create a creative mind, but the man created this, right? You didn't create that, but a man created this, right? You get what I'm saying now? Like, this is where we're allowed to explore and create and reason, memory, and intellect, creativity, right? This is the image and faculties that we've been gifted with by God / source, right? Once, like, you get what I'm saying now. So in order for planes to even exist, in order for planes to fly, it had to be invented and imagined in somebody's head first, right? None of that would have been here. This house, nothing would be here if somebody didn't think about it already. And then not only think about it, but take the necessary actions to complete the task for whatever they thought about to come into this reality. You get what I'm saying? So I want you to really just keep thinking about that, right? Keep thinking about how everything is man-made from nature. Anything you could think about that exists has had like, not could or maybe, it had to be thought of. It had to be in somebody's mind first for it to exist in this reality that we. And so the point that I'm trying to make that you guys have to get is how, once again, everything physical, money, right? Physical, whiteboard, physical, circumstances, physical, right? It's all physical. Actions, even actions, are physical. You being created by your circumstances, by something physical, is essentially like God / source, right? The highest form of consciousness, looking at humans being bad, right? Looking at humans doing what humans do, looking at X, Y, and Z and saying, I'm not good enough, or this means that I am flawed, or that I am limited. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that a higher form of faculties, a higher form of consciousness, should never bow down to a lower form. It should never say that I am this way because of this. It wouldn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, because how could something that can control something else be a slave to it, right? Now, as humans, what can we do? We can bow down to, we can choose to what to bow down to. So as somebody that has the mental capacity, the mental framework and imaging faculties to create or destroy, you bow down to the physical. The physical is your master, right? You are being controlled by money. You're being controlled by anything you could think about physical that we can think about, right? When you put this above mental, it controls your life. And that goes back to everything that we were saying before. That's the incorrect order of creation. Now you guys understand why it's the incorrect order of creation, right? So you putting physical above mental, physical above spiritual, it's the incorrect order of creation. And then that's why your life is the way it is, right? Your circumstances are the way it is. Everything is fractal from the same creative consciousness. So these higher faculties form in you. That means that you're the cause, right? And reality is the effect. So your choice on which you become a slave to and which you put on a pedestal above whatever, right? The incorrect order means you become a slave to something else, or your reality is the cause and effect of the incorrect order of creation or having the correct order of creation. Okay, so when you actually do connect your creative consciousness to your desired outcome, then automatically your physical body will take the actions needed for the physical thing to happen. right? So for the physical thing to exist, whatever money you want, whatever this and that, once you start connecting your mental um consciousness, right, then everything starts to fall into place. So the problem is that you look at your situation that we talked about before, you look at your situation and you're saying, for example, I see lack, right? I see, let me do it like this. I see lack, so therefore I must be lack. And then guess what? When you see something, right? When you see something inside of this world, this anything physical, your circumstances, when you say that, okay, my circumstances are this, so I must be this, and then because I'm this, what do you talk about more? What do you think more about? Lack, right? What do you think more of not having that lack? Which in turn goes back to this. I see lack, so I must be lack. So guess what? There's going to be more. You can finish the word. There's going to be more lack, because if you can't break this cycle of I see lack, but that does not mean that I am lack. Let me make it bigger so you guys can see it. Right. So I see negative. I see lack. So therefore I must be lack, which in turns puts it in a big circle to say, guess what? You're going to have more of lack, because what you see is what you are, right? What you see, well, that's what you believe, that what you see is what you are. But I'm here to tell you that even if you do see that negative thing, even if your circumstances aren't what you want it to be, you can decide to say you are this, or this defines you, or this creates you, or this makes you, which is once again you bowing down to the physical, you making the physical above the mental. But when you put the mental above and you take actions from the mental, right, not from physical, not from anything below here, but from the mental, then guess what? You break this pattern. This cease to exist, and you can say, I see lack, but I'm not lack. Lack does not define me. Lack does not create me. I create my own reality. My circumstances are my own, and I'm responsible for everything inside of my life. Guess what? It goes the opposite way. And then what? Now you're outside of lack, and now you're in abundance. Now you're in everything that you dreamed of, right? And not only are you in this, but you took the necessary framework to already believe it. And not only did you already believe it, you weren't attacking it from an emotional standpoint, saying that, like we were talking about before, meaning that you'll keep it. And not only will you keep it, you're operating from a mindset, right? And this isn't just like a one day fixed thing, right? Like where you just do this one time and like everything would change away. No, it's a constant thing. It's a constant reminder. You have to constantly be taking actions from the mental, right? Instead of the physical. You have to constantly be taking actions from the mental for you to stay inside of this level of consciousness. Because once you start reaching for the consciousness of the physical, you realize that your life would be in a surplus of the same thing over and over and over again. You can see this in lustful men, right? You can see this in people that are driven, idolize money. You can see this on people that idolize fame. The same thing over and over and over until they break the cycle, until they finally start reaching for a higher form of consciousness that we've been gifted. We are not animals. We don't sit here and we don't have to bow down to anything of the sorts, right? You're not something that's just there in nature. You have the choice to say this is going to affect me or this isn't going to affect me. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make. Like really think about that, please. Okay, the next way I can try to make you understand what I'm talking about is looking at it from this standpoint. So imagine this is the energy of your desires. Everything that you desire and want is flowing, right? It's endless possibilities, endless things could happen. There's endless ways to attack certain things. You can, like, there's thousands of possibilities you can have your life go based off of the actions that you choose, right? And I didn't really talk about it too much, but your actions are based off of whatever sea of consciousness or whatever consciousness you're based out of. Because what's the difference from the actions somebody's taken that made it to the NFL than the actions that you're taking, right? You wouldn't even think, or they wouldn't think to take the same action that you're taking because you're operating at two different places. That topic of like energy this, energy that, or manifesting this, manifesting that. But take energy for any other word you want to find it as. You can put it as momentum of desires or attraction of desires, whatever. Well, I don't care. We're keeping it as energy. You're gonna like it. I don't really care what you. So think of this as the string of consciousness, right? Endless possibilities, all your desires. Okay? Every single thing you can desire inside this life that you can even think about. Now, this is you. negative self-talk. Let me make it red so we can make it more dramatic. Huh? So this is you. This is everything you say negative, everything you believe about yourself negative. Remember that example of lack, right? This is you saying everything negative, everything you think negative. You see lack, so therefore I am lack, etc. So what happens is, because you are so blinded by um um negativity, hate, fear, greed, lust, whatever, bad talking, insecurity, scarcity, greed, like anything you could think about negative, because you're so blinded by this, the attraction of your desires, the energy of your desires cannot go through you. They simply go around you, right? They can't go through you, they can't use you. This is why you find people that are fully capable of getting something done or changing their lives stuck in that same situation, simply because of that lack mindset, right? Where they think that their circumstances make them them, but your circumstances do not make you you. You make you you, and you have control over your circumstances, like we kind of repeated before. But because they can't see this, and I'm telling you, it's true. Like it has to be true, because I've seen it with my own two eyes with people. If you cannot change yourself internally, anything you desire, you will always it will slip right past you over and over and over, to the point where you can't even understand why this is happening to you. But if you can change that, right? If you lead with your energy first, you don't go from the correct order of creation, right? Because with God, anything is truthfully possible, right? You go with the correct order of creation, stuff starts to flow through you and use you. This is where things like miracles can happen, right? And this is where you have the correct mindset, you have the correct alignment, right? This is where people talk about alignment a lot. You can't see what you're not aligned with, right? Say it's like you're looking down a tunnel. If you can't be aligned inside that tunnel, or looking down a peephole, if you can't align yourself with it, you're not going to be able to see out the end, right? All you're going to see is darkness. So if you lead first and seek first that mental side effect, right? That mental I bet my brain is blanking. If you seek first that mental consciousness, right, and seek first the correct order of creation, then it'll be easier for you to have everything flow through you. But if you seek the negativity, and if you stay in that mindset that the negative controls you, or that your circumstances control you, then your circumstances will keep controlling you. You get what I'm saying? Right? This is why some people can have the same brothers, say there's brothers, twin brothers, in fact, say they've been raised by the same thing, everything like that. But if one has that mindset of scarcity, they're not good enough or whatever, they're going to continue to attract that, or their energy of their desires, what they truthfully want, will not be visible to them. You will not see it, because your actions aren't the same as somebody who believes that it is for them. Like gosh, I wish I can like you just won't see it, because the energy will be not the energy, your attraction will be different, right? And another thing that like we can bring it to the Bible also. We see this in the Bible, Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added onto you. Seek first the kingdom of God. Seek first the Spirit, right? Seek first God slash source, and everything else, guess what, will be added to you. So you choose which life you want to live. Now, to get to that next level that you want to try to get to, right? To get to that mindset shift, to that understanding, to to operating out of a mental awareness, right? From operating out of a mental consciousness, there's a couple different things you should be doing. You can try things like journaling, stuff to really like to really think. Like, I just need you conscious and thinking about the things you do, and realizing, is it going to get you to that proper identity that you need to be to say, okay, this is me, and the old me is not me, right? Like, if y'all know me, you know I had like four different identities, right? Like, I'm Jaden 1.0, Jaden 2.0, Jaden 2.0, Jaden 4.0. Like, I'm going to continue evolving, continue becoming better, continue letting my desires flow through me simply because I'm in the correct alignment, simply because I'm not in a need or scarcity mindset anymore. I'm in a mindset of doing what I need to do to get the proper identity and alignment, right? I don't know. I just got twisted up, but doing exactly what I need to do, right? And regulate your nervous system. Slow down. Get out of unsafe environments if you can, and just regulate in practice, right? Just sit in, breathe in. And the biggest thing for me is just I want you guys just to think. Don't smoke. Stop drinking. Stop talking to unnecessary people. If you can sit in silence and think and journal and just think to the point where you can understand why your life the way it is and how you can change it. 'Cause that's where it all starts. It's always going to start up here. And just envision every single day you in another place. You having something else, right? You envision what your desires, your deepest desires, whatever that is, envision it and believe it, and then take the proper action to get there. Never work out of emotion, never work out of feeling, work out of action, work out of the mental. Never let your circumstances flow through you, flow through your circumstances, right? Understand that your circumstances have no hold of you, and understand the form of consciousness as we talked about multiple times before. And I feel like it would just be a lot easier for more people to really see. And I tried to visualize it as much as possible, but the last thing I really want to talk about is that lack mindset. And if you continue to see lack, and then if you it's important that you just don't let that lack control your circumstances or make you make that you, because that's not you. It's not. And you have the choice to either accept that as something that's you, or you can accept it as something else. Like, bro, when somebody says something to me that like I don't like about trading, or it's not gonna work or something, I just like literally say I reject, because I reject it. Like, I don't accept it. It's not me. Like, and lo and behold, I've been making it, right. So it's a whole bunch of different things you gotta work on. It can take months, it can take years, but you just need to understand the direction that you actually want to go into, and now understand what's holding you back, the negative words you sitting there saying bad things about yourself. I can't, or I won't, or that's not me. Like, it can be you though if you lock in for just a little bit, and then you'll see the fruits of your labor playing out. So I do appreciate y'all for watching this. I do actually hope you guys really enjoyed, because it took me some time to get all this information out. Like, a lot of information. That's just one page. We got a couple more pages going through. But yes, the time is 1:15 in the morning. So we are about to edit this and then get to sleep. So I can be up at 6, 7 maybe. Hey. So I can be up early, and then we can get back to work.